don't release that stress, it just builds up, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and that's what what happens to people when we call like burnout. It's actually chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, the thyroid packing up. Everything is underworking or overworking, and failing to get the balance. What I like about hypnopsychotherapy, which I trained in a few years ago, is that it gives me the opportunity to work with clients and empower them to eventually be able to manage their stress. And which I think for anybody who is in any different stages of recovery, whether it's early recovery, all the way through, I've been in recovery for 30 years, I still get stressed. I mean, I wake up to it. We live in London, it's life, it's what happened, it's the backstory. And it's learning how to live with that so that I don't become that I can remain separate from, individual, full of hope and everything is okay, rather than chaotic and caught up in a maelstrom of not being enough, not good enough, needing to work harder, and that whole thing of busyness, which is the antithesis of any sort of peace of mind or stability or any equanimity. So, the college I've trained with, they're very good. They've been, functioning since 1977, and they're very solid in terms of their orientations towards different psychotherapeutic approaches. I love this, just as an image, because we all are on our own film. I'm running every day on my own movie. We're all starring in our own feature films. And with recovery, it gives us an opportunity to get into take two, to do it differently, to not necessarily, to overcome being reactive, which happens a lot with people. Particularly when they're stressed. When we're stressed and we're asking for directions, we can't listen, because we're just too busy in our heads. And so the whole emphasis, what I'm going to do with you, with your permission, if you like, today, is take you through a body scan and a hypnotherapy script, which is about, sort of reducing stress, being present, and a lot of calmness and relaxation. So that'll be, I'll just talk you through a little bit of this. So, when we're in our movie, when we're in our story, when the narrative is running continuously, what about me? What's happening in my world? And so, this overshadows everything and eclipses anything to do with balance. And, with addiction, the frontal cortex, everything is on all the time. What I help people do is learn how to switch off. And when we're switching off, we're detaching from, this illusion that everything is permanent, and if we're not thinking about it, we're not in our way of solving any problems. It's quite a big mindset, and it's a big adjustment for many people to understand that this is one way of becoming, we talk about drama. When we're in our own story, there's a lot of drama going on, with time and the emphasis around sort of needing to be somewhere, and it all being, very polarized by black and white thinking. So the idea with hypnotherapy is that we learn to sort of get into flow, and we learn to, not be so attached to the outcome, and far more in the present. Hypnotherapy is based a lot on metaphors. Generated trance, for example, is working with, the creative part of us, and, looking at different archetypal energies that we have. So, it all sort of comes into this burning question, in life, existentially, who are we? And particularly, again, bringing it back to addiction and recovery. When people, come to that stage of understanding that they need to make some really big changes in their life because of their addictive behaviors and the chaos that is causing, it's a great opportunity for them to go through a process. Because it's all about how they're going to process their emotions differently. So it's a great opportunity to work with that question. Who are they if they are not the addiction? So much of our overthinking in life is our attachment to our identity as addicts. Is anyone here in recovery? Okay. Everyone's at different stages of their recovery. Yeah. And what happens if you stay stuck? It just, everything becomes, you start to fall back into that default setting of repetition. Everything same old every day. Recovery's not meant to be like that. It's very organic. It's meant to be a lot more fluid. It's meant to be moving a lot more. And so what I love again about hypnotherapy, it lends itself very much to meditation or mindfulness. Any of these mindsets that that just bring us into, just galvanize our energy in the present moment. We understand preoccupation, the rituals, the acting out, and the despair, and that cycle. For people, life gets very, very small. And I love, for clients, being able to empower them so that they can start to, realize that they've got choices. And they can make better decisions about their life and who they're with and what they're doing and how they want to be. And again, this lends itself, when we reduce the stress, people can start to feel that their lives are very manageable without this sign on their head where they think that there's something wrong with them. And you'd be amazed how many people have that belief system, that there's something so flawed about them, that they're unlovable, they're not worthy, and no matter how much they do, there's this sort of tiny voice that hopefully becomes softer and softer and softer over the years of not being good enough. And the whole emphasis of my work with people is to encourage them, to break through that. It's a thought. It's a powerful one, but it's a thought. Addictive behaviors, we understand the preoccupation for a person. And we look at relapse, the availability, we look at internet, our devices, the amount of people whose close relationship, the closest relationship is with their telephone. It's their heartbeat to the world. And, if I tell you that I have clients who keep their phone next to their bed just in case someone is going to call them at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I say to them, what do you think your client thinks of you that they've been calling you at 2 o'clock in the morning? What are you going to be able to solve or do at 2 a.m. in the morning? But more importantly, where's the integrity of that? Where's the need to always be available? I think it's just really, and that creates with a lot of people huge stress. Just being prepared. And the energy that goes into that they never use. But the dangers of too much stress on the physical body and on the mind. And it's our responsibility definitely as practitioners and definitely as people in recovery, is to look at how we can manage that, reduce the impact of that, and have a life that's far more fulfilling. Mr. Erickson, who is wonderful, we owe a big debt to him, his legacy for NLP therapy. Always believes the subconscious mind is always listening. Now with hypnotherapy, we talk about being able to bypass conditioned thinking, which is a fantastic way of working with a client's resistance. Which is, for every addict that I know, including myself occasionally, their default setting is no. Straight away. Any good idea? No. Too hard. Can't do it. And you've got to be talked back off the ledge into getting into the yes. And what I love about hypnotherapy, because it's script, because it's suggested, and because it's directed, and because it's at all times empowering our clients, it can only be a good thing. To work in, sort of reframing that thinking and getting into the yes. When we talk about, control, there are certain clients who have never had hypnotherapy. They come, they have, ordinary therapy. We do different kinds of work together. We do Gestalt or TA. And that's great for them, because they cannot hand over that control to somebody else. And I understand that and I respect that. However, it makes their life very difficult because they can't give it away to themselves. So it's very, very hard, when someone is in that place. So, I'm a great believer in creating happiness and changing your thinking. It's not saying that, it's short term, it can be long term. Happiness is being stress-free, is managing your stress, is having, a lot more time for life to happen. To be in the flow. And it's wonderful for releasing any fear or anxiety. if you just take a moment and think about, for yourself, the trance state of hypnotherapy. So all of you got here this morning. I mean, I was driven, I got here, what seemed like 5 minutes because I wasn't present, sitting in the back of the car. I was thinking about everything else I needed to do today. So the time just evaporated. So, that's what we call trance state. And trance state is when, you're driving and suddenly you realize that you left your house, you're already where you need to be. And all the time you're thinking about what you should be doing or what didn't happen or what's going to happen when you get there. And we call that trance state. It's very natural for the mind to go into that state of being. So there's a lot of, comfort in that because nothing bad is going to happen. It just means, you can come out of that in a nanosecond. It just means in that altered state of consciousness, you went somewhere else while still being present. A lot of talk is with addiction is pain, and I understand, that there is nothing addictively that I can use to fix that pain. What I call that intrapsychic pain of existence. When it's with addiction and there's trauma, the pain of living is huge. And so again, this is where, hypnotherapy is wonderful at working with pain management that's real and physical pain, or, emotional pain. It's fantastic for reducing the intensity of it and the association to it. Fear is another huge thing for many people. It's like, and it becomes a habit. Becomes an, I don't want to say an addiction because I don't think it's that, but in terms of behavior, becomes a dependency on being fear-based. And that leads to codependency, it leads to that chronic loss of self. And as a culture, the more that we are independent and able to get our needs met, in our own, family, our tribe, our work, then we're winning at life. We're not looking automatically for someone else to do for us what we think we can't do for ourselves. And so much of that is fear. And so much of fear is stress. I know that you will know that when you're working with clients, when they are in early stages of recovery, which is about the first 20 years, but seriously about the first 5 years, there's a lot of anxiety about how to live, how to make a decision, who to ask, where to go. And that stress is how you can help your clients, by learning, how to recognize that it's fear. It's not true, it's not rational. But it's also very challenging because it's like sitting next to, a person on a plane who has a fear of flying and, who's very sensitive to movement. That fear just continues to escalate. And that there's no talking them down, bringing them back off the ledge, back into where they're sitting in their seat in the present moment. Because their irrational mind, that phobic mind, is full of fear. It's impossible. And the other side of that is for people is shame around feeling like that. And what we want to do in life the most is heal that shame. Heal that shame of being healthy. Because there's an incredible block between me and you if I have that. I love transactional analysis, and it's great to see one of the really fantastic leaders here. Because it was the first thing in terms of a framework that gave me an understanding of how it works and how maturity is linked to evolving as a person, and how that healthy parenting was really useful for when we talk about the wounded child or just that woundedness that was very contained in my childhood and my child ego state. And we know in narcissism that unless that child matures, it becomes very toxic. We see a lot of malignant narcissists today. They're running businesses, they're running countries, and they're running everybody, around in circles because what they do is create chaos more than anything. It's and so autonomy, boundaries, and communication. When I'm creating a script that's bespoke, as it is for you guys today, which you will hear a little bit, and when we do our hypnotherapy script together, you'll hear a lot about empowering, And that's it, the language of empowering a person is for them to, to understand that when they're an adult, when we're an adult, we can remain in communication, translate, transactions with other people ad infinitum. When we're a child, it gets cut off very quickly because the demands are too high. They can't be satiated, by anybody. So, being a healthy adult is what the thrust of my work today, the centerpiece of my work is encouraging people to have healthy adult relationships with themselves, with their family, with their work, with their food, with everything. That becomes a healthy relationship in adult. Personal recovery is, it's progressive. Addiction is the only disease that if you stop, the minute you stop, for example, nicotine addiction, the minute the person stops smoking, they begin to heal. How good is that? It's so positive. And saying to people that, it can become sustainable. The missing word in the beginning, when you're looking at a client's denial, or propensity to minimize or catastrophize, or whatever they're going to do, is discipline, is the ability to say no to themselves. And so a lot of this comes back to stress and how to manage that and how to say no. Training the mind to look within. A mind is a wonderful thing to waste. And so many people waste their good thinking or their wisdom, their inherent wisdom, by not being present. By just, avoiding the present moment, by, what's going to happen in the future. Again, into we talk about the when script, when that happens, or when I hear that person this afternoon, I'm going to hear what I need to hear, and it's going to change my life. It's not going to happen. It's enough with what is happening now. The training the mind to look within begins when I, encourage clients to hit the pause button. Just stop. It's very empowering because we all walk around thinking that someone is going to want something. You're going to ask me a question, I must know the answer. Or you need something, I must have it. All this sort of insane, crazy thinking. So training the mind to look within is a real act of grace and surrender. They're beautiful disciplines to develop as a human being. Pausing, breathing, de-stressing. Right now, I want you to just do a very simple breathing exercise. Okay, so just get comfortable in your chair. And first of all, I want you all to know that you're not breathing incorrectly. You never breathe incorrectly because you're here. If you weren't breathing correctly, you'd be dead. What I want you to do is to breathe deep. And that's down here. That's, right at the base of the spine, that lower belly. When you start to breathe through there, your body opens up. You start to automatically unknot all those tiny little bits in your shoulder, back of your neck, top of your head, anywhere that you're holding stress. You can close your eyes. It shuts out me. It shuts out the light. It minimizes the distractions if you like. But I want you just to take a few deep breaths. Just feel what it's like to go all the way down, breathe all the way down, whether it's through your nose or through your mouth. And as you're doing that, just start to realize that, as you're breathing down deeper and deeper, just below the gut, and just holding that breath, and then releasing. And just do a few of those. Just so literally it's like, just seeing, just opening up your chest, opening up your back, and allowing your gut to just relax a little bit. We've got a lot of tension around our viscera, and particularly our gut. Just do a few of those and just start to feel yourself, hopefully, relax a little bit more. If you start to yawn, that's great. Just go with it. Give yourself permission. So, this is about compassion, self-compassion. And the first thing we do in life by ourselves is breathe. And the last thing we do in life by ourselves is breathe. It's so important to change it, to make it work for you in a way that your body is feeling fully supported by your breath. you know, what triggers and self-sabotage. We hear a lot of that, and you know, the holy grail, of course, is getting that work-life balance, in balance. And how we can do that is when we talk about training the mind. You know, sort of first thought in the mornings, I always suggest to people, you know, when you wake up in the morning, it's like just check in with how you're doing. You know, how you're thinking, what lies ahead during the day. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But, you know, how you ease into the day rather than just that first thought of like, oh my God, it's too hard, I'm too tired, I didn't get this done, I didn't get that. You're already in your head. Train your mind to come back to the present moment. You're still in bed. You know, ease out of bed. You know, say good morning to your husband, your wife, you know, your children, whatever. Greet the day. Greet yourself. You know, because after that, it's a series of rituals, a series of habits. And I want you to create a new one, which is just taking the time, just taking a few minutes in the morning to breathe differently. I want you to be able to do this so that wherever you are, you can automatically remember that that's what's going to help you. When you start to feel escalating stress, or you feel threatened, or something is happening outside of your, you know, physical being that you don't have any control over, just come back to your breathing. It will help you. It will help the body not get into that, you know, escalation and that cascade of hormones, you know, adrenaline and cortisol, helping you. But they're only designed to help you in the short term. This is what we forget. In the long term, it's about using those hormones, letting them do what they do really well, and then releasing them from your body. Peter Levine talks a lot about, you know, sort of waking the tiger and just how animals shape themselves and just let it go, you know, just release it. We don't, we hold on to it. And it's not because it's PC, it's just because we just don't even think about the importance of releasing any stress. So what I'm suggesting to you is you can use your breath to do that. It's a powerful way of reducing stress. Okay, so, you know, it's always been about the breath. Prana is our life force. Yama, you know, is just essential to our being, you know, and it's being able to understand that everything is about how we breathe. Always was, always will be. You know, everything is connected. Stress management. Does anyone here work with any kind of stress management at the moment that they do? Anyone have a meditation practice, mindfulness practice, something they do on a daily basis? Do you want to just tell us how it works for you?
I actually do some of what you've been talking about, the breathing in the stomach, holding the breath through the nose and out the mouth, getting up in the morning, watching your thoughts, changing the script sometimes depending on what it is, acknowledging what's around me, that being present.
Fantastic.
And it allows to kind of start the day in a different way most of the time. I do it with my clients as well, twice a week. So some of these practices I've put into place.
And do you often forget?
Some days, it's a ritual now, so it's part, we talked about the ritual, it's now become a ritual because it's practice, and as I say to clients, if you keep doing it, it becomes second thought. You just do it without having to think about it.
You know, stress management is a really good muscle, and it's like if you use it, fantastic, it will get stronger, it will help you automatically. What about you? You put your hand up.
I woke up every morning and practice my yoga and meditation.
Fantastic. How long have you been doing that?
Quite a few years. I find it centers me and it does me good.
Yeah.
That's how long you do it for?
At the
5
moment,
minutes or is it half an hour?
because my busyness, I'm doing it for half an hour.
Yeah.
I do as well, but I find that I also do it through the day because depending on how many clients, actually it centres me back to being present.
Yeah.
Just the internal boundaries in between the I and the work.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you said that because I think it's really important because, you know, it's a personal choice. And that's one that I make, and it sounds like you do the same thing. You know, it's about my client, it's not about me. And they know that, you know, whether they want to ever accept it or not. And my clients leave the session the same way I do, which is our stress levels have gone down. We work together and it's gone down, but it's always been about them. And when it's not is when I'm stressed and in my head. And you know, and it's not very good for clients. You know, they want to have somebody. You know, we have the luxury today of so many good things available to us. And just to answer your question, you know, in terms of time, the sort of mindfulness that I've been doing now, meditation now, is like I've been doing it for 30 years. So for me, it's a habit. And I can also forget. I can get in my head. I can be on my movie, in my film, you know, and forget everything, and you know, be very selfish. But I can also come back very quickly and remember that I've got to do this differently, you know, and it's going to help me. So what I'm suggesting to you is, you know, do what I do what I say. It will help you. You know, we're all meant to live this life very differently than, you know, currently is being promoted as like a runaway, you know, chaos. So it's one breath at a time, you know, and when you understand that, it really helps you. And the sort of thing that you can be doing when you're watching telly, you know, sitting at the computer, just take two minutes out when you're at the computer. You know, just stand up, you know, just walk around, have a glass of water, you know, do something differently, just break, you know, the energy that is fused with being on the computer and just, you know, everything firing off way too quickly. Okay, so just want to say one of the things around TA again that's very, very good, you know, particular to the Cutman drama triangle, you know, unmet needs, projection, and expectation. If you can build a really beautiful mindfulness meditation practice for yourself, you will always get your needs met. You know, it's just, you know, your approach is different, how you move about your life, how you engage with other people is different. People pick up on that. And they want to engage with that. It's not, you know, it's not hard work. And it's just all about how you can break through, you know, your own constructs around what it means to think and be differently. Okay, I think we're going to go to the music. So can you help me for a second? Okay, just bear with me for a minute. So what I'd like you to do, because I know if everyone would like to stay, I'm now going to do the hypnotherapy video. Okay? It's safe. If at any time you don't feel safe or you're getting triggered, just open your eyes and look, and you're back in the chair. Okay? It's all about, there won't be any out reaction. I don't think anyone today is going to do anything that will have any out-of-body experiences, but if you do, I'm here to help. It'll be okay. But I don't think that's going to happen either. Enjoy it, and just see it as an opportunity. Your body memories will help you out. You're sitting in these chairs. You're going to be sitting in these chairs for the next 3 days. You want to be comfortable. Your breath will help you. Okay? So just take that in and remember that. And recall that when you start to forget and you're in your head. Okay. So I'm going to use just one track from Moby, who very kindly loaded up the 12 tracks to the internet. And they're all quite beautiful. They're for this purpose, for yoga, meditation, etc. So I want you to use your breath and the music together. And I want you to bring your focus, if you can, continuously back to the music. It will anchor you, and it will help deepen your process. I'd like you all to be able to go into your unconscious states of being. It's not too difficult. It's available to you. It's accessible to you. And bypass conditioned thinking, which remember says no. So I want you to get into the yes and help yourself out with that. So just when you're doing your hypnotherapy with us as a group, just think about your film. And I want you just to do this differently, which is whatever feelings come up, I want you just to visualize that you're just watching a movie. So watching a story and it just keeps moving. Don't keep spinning. Just if you can, just come back to that, come back to your breath, come back to the music, come back to the fluidity of the music, and just watch your movie. Okay? So I just want you to go into the silence for a few minutes. And the music changes. His pitch and his tone changes. So I want you just to bring yourself into that relaxed state of being with what is going on. Which is yourself, your breath. And if you can keep breathing deeply, it will help you. You can just keep breathing on those inhales, opening up your chest, your back, and your spine. Just close your eyes, relax, keep watching the movie. What I'd like you to start to think about now is just doing what we call just a body scan. I just want you to go around any part of your body where you feel there's any tension. And if you can, bring the focus of your breath to that area. If it's your shoulders, just visualizing your breath, that lovely deep breath that you're taking, just going to that area. To the top of your head, if there's any tension, just take your breath there. But while you're scanning your body, just going around from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Any area that just feels a little bit tighter, just when you're holding on to something that's causing a block in your energy. Perhaps you might be starting at your forehead. And if that's the case, I want everyone just to start to think about that area just around the top of the head. Often we walk around, we're frowning, just a habit. Just visualize that area just becoming calmer. Just wiggling those eyebrows a little bit just to release any tension there. Releasing. Now just bring that same feeling that you had around the top of your eyebrows, just starting to feel less tight. Just bring that to the back and the sides of your head. Just feel the back of your head just relaxing more. Going into the music, following the breath, letting go. And now just bring that same feeling of relaxation down the back of your neck, just down to your shoulders. Just allowing your shoulders to relax. Just connecting to your body is what you want to do. So that you can just be in that immersive state of feeling and experiencing everything that has happened to you. In every part of your body, on a cellular level. Again, just bring this feeling of relaxation just down to your back. Just as you're sitting in the chair, just feel your back fully supported. Just letting go. Going into the music. Just relaxing. Switching off. Letting go. Just allow this feeling of relaxation flow all the way down from the top of your head to the back and sides of your head, down to your neck, down past your shoulders, all the way down to the base of your spine. And again, from your shoulders, just down past your belly, down back around to your hips, down to your legs, down to your knees, down to your ankles and your feet. Allow yourself to relax. Keep bringing your breath into it. It'll help you switch off if any of you experiencing the need to keep thinking. Just allow yourself just to soften those messages and those voices that are telling you anything other than what you're doing right now. Because you're relaxing so well in the session now, you'll keep this with you, I hope, for the rest of the day. This is calmness and relaxation that you have now. And if it's not a whole lot, just work with what is. Continuously letting yourself that this is doing a great job. You're taking care of yourself. You're learning how to de-stress your body in a different way. In a way that requires you for a period of time to be conscious of what you're doing. But just as the time goes by, this afternoon, you just find yourself feeling less intense, less agitated. Your moods are fluctuating nearly as much as it used to. You feel like you've had green tea instead of a macchiato. And hopefully just feeling a little bit more relaxed. And if you're not, just keep going with it. Do your best. That's all you have to do, is just do your best for you. Enjoying this deep state of relaxation, you're just going to feel physically stronger and fitter. Your body's going to feel like it's had just some rebalancing going on, just for that reconnection. Calmness and relaxation are wonderful things for re-energizing the body. Your breath that you're continuing to do is helping oxygenate the body. Remember, when we feel agitated or anxious, our breathing is very shallow. So the deeper you're breathing now, the longer you're holding on to it, the more it's actually energizing your body, which can only be a good thing. Just so that this can become part of your daily practice with your breathing and relaxation and that calmness of just easing into the stillness. So everything is such calm, bearable, manageable. Just go back from your mind's eye to this morning, to how you prepared for the day. what you were doing, and how you could go back if you take any of those frames when you just started to feel agitated. Maybe the power didn't start straight away, or something was going on in the house, or it wasn't what you needed when you wanted it. Whatever was going on that caused you to feel agitated. Just bring that into the moment and just forgive yourself for feeling agitated. When we get agitated, we leave whoever we're with in that moment, including ourselves. We're in our heads. And we want to be back into your body in that mind-body connection. Just continuing to breathe. Bring everything back to your breath, to the music. Just let the two just blending together with gentle rhythm. So totally present for yourself. Just breathing deeply as you can, just bring your attention to whatever intention you would like to have happen this afternoon. Just spend a little bit of time thinking about that. What do you need in the situation? It's going to help you show up. It's going to help you handle any challenges you have for anything that lies ahead in this next bit of time. What do you need from yourself? Is it patience? Is it understanding? Is it perhaps talking to somebody else about it? What's going to help you? And just give yourself that. It's a gift of time. Time heals everything. We forget that. We don't think there's enough time. Give yourself time. Give yourself permission to be here, to be present. This is your time. Make it count. Make it work for you. Just breathing as deeply as you can. Now it's just time to start thinking about what you haven't done for yourself lately. You know, how you haven't taken care of yourself in a way that serves your higher purpose. And what you need from yourself now to heal that. Perhaps you were rushed, or you chose to eat something that, wasn't good for you, and you did that knowingly. It's about, again, like just coming back and forgiving yourself. When we forgive ourselves, we give ourselves back to ourselves. With humility, with grace, all of that good stuff, but with compassion. Learn how to be a little bit softer with yourself, a lot more accepting. And being available to yourself. Allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to have that self-compassion. Self-care. I'm going to be quiet for a while. I just want you to stay with the music, stay with you, and stay with your breath. And whenever any intrusive thoughts come in, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll tell you when it's time to stop. I'll tell you when it's time to open your eyes, but that is not the right time right now. Right now, just go back. If you can, do your best. This is all really difficult stuff. I'm not used to doing this. It's a big leap of faith and trust. Give it to yourself. Give yourself the gift of being quiet. And we'll be quiet now for a few minutes, just so you can become comfortable with your own silence. count to 5. When I count to 5, like open your eyes, come back into the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would anyone like to share how with you?
Straight from
Yeah, it was like sleeping for half an hour. It's always. It's such a relief.
No, that's beautiful. Okay, so what I'd like to now use up time wisely is I'd like to teach you how to do this yourself. Okay? Self-hypnosis is something that you can practice on a daily basis. Make it work for you. There's no, the formula is quite simple. And it's something that you can do. When you do your body scan, body scanning is really good to do last thing at night. Just when you've done everything that you need to do. And it's just that few-minute window before you're thinking about the next day and what you want to have happen or whatever. But just that, what I call like that easing into, just that state of bliss and sleep. Okay, so just before that happens, it's a great time to just see where your body's at. Like, I used to just have my hands like that. My feet would be, just automatic, just a habit. And so what I learned to do was, find out where it was. You're scanning your body, see where you're holding any tension. Or my feet, from wearing shoes all day. So, I used to do that with my feet. I would just, fling them out and just, it was great. Like, you're just shaking off. Again, when we talk about what Peter Levine recommends in somatic energy, is just being able to just release. So if you can, just pay attention tonight. Your head's on the pillow supporting your head. Is it really comfortable? They're all just a series of rituals that we just do automatically. But I'd like you to introduce the fact with how you are in the bed. You're going to be in it for a few hours. And if you can help yourself out by just doing a little bit of what you've done today really beautifully, just changing the breathing so it's a little bit deeper for longer. Got down, all the way down here. Your body you just automatically, don't worry, you're not going to get energized and not get fall asleep. It'll be the opposite. Your body won't be holding on to anything. It won't have to have the energy to do that. It won't need to. So if you can, just do that body scan. Even if it's just, rearranging your feet. So they just, feel like they've just had a bit of a shaking, a bit of a releasing. Or your hands. Here, we hold a lot of tension here. When I asked you, to bring that tension and relaxation into your eyebrows, we're frowning all the time. And that's tension. So it's just starting to see in your body now where it is and how you can release it. So, with self-hypnosis, you can either have your eyes open or closed, it doesn't really matter. But it's only take just 5 minutes. Now the mantra to use with this is, every day, in every way, life is getting better and better. Very simple. And as you're saying, you just say that with repetition. The brain loves repetition. It keeps it fresh, buoyant, alive. Repetition. Every day, in every way, life is getting better and better. And then you can close your eyes and you can just do this, which is just counting down. Now, what really helps is an elevator. There's one just outside here. So just take some time, or you probably have taken many elevators in your life. I have my favorite one that says Harvey Nicks, because it's just short and 5 floors, and and it makes a nice sound. So just visualize an elevator, not a cruddy old one in a horrible building side, but just a really nice elevator. that's going to hold you on your journey into your unconscious. And just visualize that you're going down. So you're on the 5th floor, and you're counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, round. And then again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again. Just counting down. And the more you do that, the freer you think. It's wonderful to train the mind. And these are very simple but profound techniques for doing that. And here's how you tame that tiger, that mind that is always on and always ready. Here's how you slow it down, bring it into what we call that one-pointed focus. And it will help you become a lot more focused, a lot more energized throughout the day, and will support your process of changing, which is creating a better relationship with your conscious mind, so that you're living with greater awareness, greater expansiveness in the present moment. So just for yourself, just if you want to just practice it here, just take a few minutes. Just close your eyes, just visualize that elevator. You're on the top floor, you're going down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, round the floor. And again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's wonderful when I say bringing your mind back to your breath, bringing your mind back to counting down is what you can think about. We get it's so habitual to be just thinking. And this is an opportunity to call your mind back and to give it something to do that's going to help you de-stress your world, your mind, your sense of being. And it works. It's a wonderful way of just being able to connect back to you. A lot of what I used to do was just drift. I'd be talking to this person, but I'd be drifting. I'd be thinking, that movie, there'd be another movie running, the one in the moment, the one in the future, the one in the past, and just sort of thinking, what about this, what about that? And until I realized that I could train that. I didn't have to do that. And it's not about stopping. Stopping is, too violent. It's about being aware of it, so that we become the observer of our processes, because everything is a process. Nothing happens immediately. Everything is on its way to happening. So it's understanding that, and it's training the mind to come back to the present moment. Because here, everything is real. Nothing real can be threatened. And nothing unreal exists. It's from the Course in Miracles. But it's a very powerful metaphor for bringing yourself back to the present moment. So just do a little bit of practicing, okay? Just closing your eyes, just, this self-hypnosis. Whenever you have to do something difficult, and I'm sure within the next 24 hours, every single person in this room has to do something they don't want to do, okay? So, here's what you're going to do. You're going to breathe. You're going to just do a little bit of self-hypnosis, anchor yourself in the present moment. You can use what we call mudras, which just connect us back. It's a great way. It works. You're back when you do this in the present moment. It's not woo-woo. It's scientific. It's totally science-based. That if you do this, your brain will stop being so. It's at the moment when you see somebody really agitated, if you were to look at a CT scan of their brain or an MRI scan, you would see their brain is red in loads of different areas, particularly the neocortex. And with meditation, it changes color. There's a neuroscience magazine that's got a lot of stuff, but over the last 20 years there's been heaps of stuff coming through that you can pick up and see or view on different programs. And it's fascinating. It changes color. It's softer. It's powerful. Blue is beautiful. And red is very lovely, obviously. I wear red lipstick. But, Blue is a great colour. It's that oceanic state. It's that balance. So coming back to, when you leave here now, I want you just to give yourself a little test, which is how long you can stay present for you. Before you leave before you get distracted, before you've left, before you're back in the movie, or someone else's movie, or whatever. Just notice. Learn how to become the observer of what is going on for you. Not what your thoughts are, not like how am I doing, is that, whatever, going into that story or running the movie. But coming into the present moment. What are you doing? How are you sitting? Where are you holding on to anything? And, we understand, we know in terms of insight into the human condition that anger is a very powerful emotion for us. And it's the last emotion in terms of karmic patterns that we get to work through, and the hardest one. And so for you, a lot of fear can feel the same as anger. And we get triggered, we're very reactive. All of what you've learned today, I hope you'll take from with the understanding it will teach you how to be responsive, which is very different. It's just pausing for a moment or two. And in that moment or two that you're pausing, you're just thinking, what can you do? What are your choices? How can you do it differently? How can you, awaken the heart, the compassion? So here's how you do it. Is you come back to your breath. When we're breathing and we're optimizing our health, everything is running far more harmoniously. And what I find for me is that my energy is the same at the end of the day as it is the first thing in the morning, which is fantastic. So, it's not that sort of pushing through. So it maintains that balance. And when we feel balance, it's that equanimity. Everything is available to us. Our body is in that great state of being very fluid. So, just practicing for yourself, just that, very simple exercise, very simple mantra. Every day, in every way, life is getting better and better. And just counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you can, for yourself, just, do it when you're sitting on the train, in the car, on a plane, in a meeting. It will help, it will bring you back to the present moment. Because remember, nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. And, you want to do yourself a favor by being present. You don't want to miss your life by being in your head and being in the future. Because it hasn't happened yet. And no amount of thinking about it is going to make it happen. So for yourself, just, continue to stay with you. And just practice, being present, being aware. And you'll be working on reducing the stress unconsciously. It will just be happening without you even noticing. It's not meant to be hard work. Nothing I do is hard work today. It's the antithesis to everything that I used to do that was hard work and exhausting. So, and I did it because I could. And today I don't, because I choose not to. I don't need to. Walk slower, think slower, be slower. It's just the elegance of existence. Is slowing it all down, and your breath, the beauty of your breath will always help you achieve that state of where everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. So, any questions? Yes.
Yes, what do you think about the candle meditations? When you gaze at a candle for a while and you close your eyes and it kind of goes really.
Look, it's so good. It's like when I, played the music. I don't know. I never did that in a session, but I did it here today because it's just another way of deepening. What we call deepening. So because hypnotherapy is a process, and it's the same thing with a candle. That a therapist will use that, or someone would use different types of body therapy, for example, or a meditation. you know, because it's going to help you deepen the process, because it's getting you into your focus on that.
And then you close your eyes and you can still see it. And
Yeah.
And then it kind of like goes off to the side and then you like use your mind to bring it back. And
Yeah.
I think it's so helpful.
Work with whatever helps you. You know, remember, you know, it's a golden rule, I believe, of doing anything like that. It's meant to be easy, you know. But, you know, you do it every day because you want to. And, you know, it's just it's practice that you can bring into your practice to help you function much better and, you know, reduce the stress, you know, in all areas of your life.
What I thought was interesting when you were doing the exercise was the continuing to breathe deeply. Now, normally when I meditate, my breath slows right down and becomes much more shallow. And I found myself almost kind of working against that to follow it. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, look, there's different types. You know, there. For example, when I first learned how to meditate, it was like 30 years ago, and I did it. I was lying down and I fell asleep, and I was very embarrassed because it was like, oh God, I failed. But anyway, you know, it didn't matter. But the thing is that, yeah, slowing it down can be, you know, if that works for you. What I suggest for people, and why I say, you know, because I'm all about deepening the process, such as getting into an unconscious state, and deepening the breath, is so that we understand the language of that and the energy behind that. Because anxiety, you know, we're breathing very shallow, and you know, because I have a massive amount of anxiety, and 30, 40 years ago, you were given medication or a brown paper bag, which is unbelievable. I wouldn't dream of giving a brown paper bag to somebody to breathe into it. But you know, we have evolved, and because you know, because I really saw the value in changing my breathing without anything like that, and also what medication does to your lungs, you know, so we understand that. So yes, you know, keep doing what works for you.
That was a very nice session.
Yeah, I mean, just you know, but understand that where I'm coming from, it's great for people to be introduced to that in terms of hypnotherapy, you know, just an induction state to get into trance. It helps a lot of people, and for other people, remember, you know, some of my clients just say, I'm not interested in that at all. I go, you know, on Shantae, it's fine, let's do this. You know.
I would try yours.
Yeah, try for yourself, because it's just good to connect to that, because, you know, our gut, in polyvagal theory, you know, it's like, when we talk about trauma, which is not this talk, but, you know, it's like having a bell ringing inside. You know, it's that constant, your body is continuously inflamed and intense, and you know, so it's inflamed, so it's like the amygdala, all these things are amplified, and getting them right size massively helps for our breathing. Because it changes the brain chemistry, it's changing the chemistry, you know, the blood-brain barrier, it's changing every part of us on a cellular level. So if that's deep breathing, wonderful. If it's lighter breathing, wonderful. As long as it's not shallow. Any other questions? Okay, well I hope you've learned something, and I hope you've enjoyed it. You know, because it is about, what I love about working with the unconscious is that, you know, it's a fascinating place to visit. You know, we have all of our experiences there. And when you talk about the universality of the unconscious, you know, which is where the archetypes arise from, you know, they have a lot of energy, and our past has a lot to teach us. But in terms of in the present moment, is where we want to live and experience that, rather than go back. So just take from today that your breath, and if you can, you know, work on that little, you know, technique of self-hypnosis, your life will improve. Because the byproduct is that you feel happy. It's just how it works. You know, it's and it just becomes exponential. The more you do it, the better it gets.
I have a question.
Yeah.
One thing that happens with me is that a lot of things, my list comes up.
Yes.
And would it make sense to actually just write down those things? Because otherwise you end up stuck on it while you're doing this process. You understand what I mean?
I do. I know very much
So
what
you
you
think,
mean.
oh, I mustn't forget that, right? Because I've got a million things on my list.
Don't you, like I'm sitting here, I could see who was, because you just know how others can tell, when there's that cogitation going on. So what I would suggest to you is, that's great for you to observe that if you can differently. So when the to-do list comes in, of course it's going to tell you, because it wants to take you out, your mind wants to take you out if you're doing something good for yourself. So that's the, oh God, I forgot that, or, must do this, must do that. But the idea is to bring your mind back.
So ignore it in a way.
Well,
Not ignore it, just accept it.
observe it.
Observe it,
Yeah, observing it is, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'm thinking about that right now. I can do that. Just have that little conversation with yourself, and it keeps moving. It's gone. Rather than becoming the list. This is, hypnotherapy is very much about learning how to detach from all of that. And that's how you do it, by becoming the observer of the list, the to-do. It's the antidote to busyness. So what I'm teaching you is to how to switch off. So that at the end of the day you can, calibrate everything that you've done, review your day in that self-reflective way, and go, that was good, that wasn't so good, I forgive myself when I could have been kinder, more compassionate, whatever. I want, I will, be aware of doing that differently. It's just beautiful ways of having that self-talk become very compassionate, including the list, so that list becomes compassionate things to do, rather than difficult challenges that you don't want to do. And they become prompters. But not right now when you're doing, you're working on de-stressing your brain.
Could you repeat the phrase you used, which I liked at the time, but I've already forgotten which it ended up with, and if it isn't real, it doesn't exist.
Sorry, what was that?
You repeated the phrase a couple of times, and the last bit of it was, if it's not real, it doesn't exist.
Oh, reality.
Way of life.
Nothing unreal.
So what's the sample, isn't it?
Hmm?
What's the whole phrase?
The whole, it's from A Course in Miracles, and I think it's about the first or second lesson. And it's nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. There's a great series of lessons. There's 365 of them. And they're designed to be done in a way that's quite systematic. But it's a wonderful exercise, of which I think there's about 5 around that particular talk. But you can go to Course of Miracles, the website, and you can probably download it if you want to have a look at it. But it's a wonderful one for reality. We have such a big investment in my reality, but remember, we look at our movie, and sort of see that that's the movie that we're creating on a daily basis.
Can I just ask you about, just going back to the list
Yes.
someone mentioned earlier, which resonates with me, and I know with a lot of my clients too. Would the process be to remind yourself that that's a thought, rather than in the now, in the present? So to stay in the present rather than allowing the thought to carry you away, imagining what it is that you're going to be doing in the future, because obviously you're in the present now. So is it just sort of allowing yourself to let go of that and stay where you are?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember when I talked about trance? Like driving a car and then suddenly you're there?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Right.
So, when I'm thinking about something, and I think, oh my God, I'm still here.
Right.
Because I've gone over there.
The reason I ask you is that I work a lot with problem gamblers, and one client in particular springs to mind. And it's very much the case that, and all of a sudden the money's gone. And so it's very much about staying, for me that seems to be staying in the moment, because he's already thinking about what he's going to tell his wife, his girlfriend, because the money's going.
Yeah.
And it's almost, and one thing he said to me, which I found very interesting, was he said, well, I mustn't gamble in the first place. And I said, well, actually, you mustn't gamble in the last place. Because in the first place, the idea comes to you.
Mm.
And it's very much about sort of being rooted in the present and reminding yourself of where that's taking you. And then all of a sudden in the last place, well, he's got that mixed up. He's sort of done the last thing first, and then he's already rehearsing what he's going to tell his partner about where the money's all gone. And in that moment, he's responding to the sensory pleasure of the FOBT, and that's pretty disastrous. So that would be helpful to get him to stay in the present.
Well, yeah, and also because of the energy, you know, where he's gone, you know,
Right.
follow the money, literally.
Right.
And with gambling, you know, it's all about the next win,
Right.
you know, and it's shocking what it does to a person, you know, because they're bankrupt,
Yes.
and yet it's in the future.
Yes.
It's going to fix everything. It's going to be, you know, but it's a bit like, you know, the battered wife syndrome. You know, when the husband says it's never going to happen again. It's just going to be that one win, and that's it.
Yes.
You know, it's all conditional,
Yes.
and it means nothing.
Mhm.
Because when we said earlier, nothing unreal exists. It's completely unreal.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he knows that.
And it's very trance-like as well, as you rightly
Yes.
say, in gambling, especially with the FOBTs,
Yes.
with the sensory information that's coming in. It's
Yeah.
impossible for the brain to differentiate between when you're winning and losing. It feels the same. And
Yeah.
you're in that trance-like state. A lot of people talk about how everything just vanishes in all the stress, and the whole world goes away, and they're just in that zone at the moment.
Well, you know, Freud, I think, was really right when he talked about reward. And, you know, I mean, he was definitely on the right path, because we know that all drugs, sugar, salt, fat, cocaine, Valium, everything goes to the same part of the brain, you know. And that's what gets impacted, is that, you know, that neural pathway gets shorter and shorter and shorter, because dopamine, you know, everything gets overridden, hormonally, etc. So, you know, for that person, you know, and that fix becomes so elusive. And it becomes really hard, because it never happens again the same way. You know, and good luck. But I would suggest for him, you know, if you could, because there's an awful lot of process addictions have a lot of emotionality attached to them, and holding that for him, you know, would be great if he could do some hypnotherapy, for example, you know, that would put him in control, because he's very out of control. And that would be a way of grounding him and postponing him, because people that have that sort of mojo around money or food or sex, you know, so, you know, it's all the same mindset, but a way of just slowing that down for him, postponing it, would be really, really helpful.
Can I just say something with regards to gambling? The ritual is the same, whether the outcome is different. So whether you win or you lose, the process is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Put a bet on and it's uncertain until it's over. And then there's a chance for another bet on to get back the money you lost the night before. It's always the same.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so hollow. You know, the bankruptcy around that it's incredibly it's heartbreaking. You know,
And it's
for the
never about
person.
the win. It's never really about the
No.
win, as the gentleman says quite right.
No.
It's not really.
But you know, when I talked about it earlier about in TA, you know, the win script, and the win script used to be what used to drive so many people in their professional lives, with the next deal, the next deal, the next deal. Until, you know, if you ask them in all honesty, you know, what does that mean to them? They'll just say, you know, because you know the first time you get the high or the hit, you never get it the same again. And it's, you know, it's not chasing that. But anyway, it's a bigger story that hopefully, you know, you can teach them something, even breathing, you know, any small things that you could help them with would help. How are we doing for time? I have no idea. Oh, okay, that's good. Well, listen, I hope you all had a great time. I hope you all, you know, just work on your breathing. Any questions, you know, email me, let me know, whatever. And enjoy the rest of the fabulous time that we have here, being with a tribe of people. Wonderful.